Title is combating the narrative of black life, black culture that the media focuses on.
Well, he keeps talking about people wearing dresses. No, it's
That
not.
is a weird thing.
It's not like that. Look at it from a different way. Look at it. Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood. I couldn't initially understand what kept driving him, because it just seemed to me like he was never happy.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, iconic Daddy Huxtable, was leaked far too early as the man who drowned saving his daughter. But plot twist, his daughter never hit the water. He and a friend got snagged by a rip current so vicious, the beach, marked hazardous and totally unguarded, felt like a trap. 45 minutes of heroic CPR, defibrillation, first responders giving it everything, they still couldn't bring him back. Death pronounced at the scene. That ain't saving the daughter, that's tragedy marinated in misreporting.
Tired of running for shade? And aren't you tired of being hustled and played? And aren't we all tired of crying about how hard it is to be black in America, even if it looks like we've got it made?
Has this been difficult for you?
Yeah. Because when you watch someone who you know and love, go through what he's going through.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, dead at the age of 54 on a drowning accident while he was vacationing with his family in Costa Rica.
Enter Katt Williams, stepping on stage with his megaphone of skepticism. He doesn't just think it was misframed, he thinks Warner was silenced. According to Katt, Hollywood couldn't handle a black man resisting typecasting or spilling receive your order press doctrine, someone knowing too much, probably politely refusing to play puppeteer for profit. Now, Warner gets posthumous hero worship. But where was the platform while he was alive, pen poised with integrity? Cue dramatic eyebrow raise.
People reports that the 54-year-old was in Costa Rica on a family vacation and accidentally drowned while swimming.
Katt's claim shifts the event from a drowning to a symbol. Principled black men who buck the system don't just get quieted. They get professionally starved, sidelined. Look at the arc. Warner singing jazz, writing poetry, hosting Not All Hood. He wasn't chasing Emmy ratings, he was building art with spine. That's not just underappreciated, it's actively inconvenient to an industry hungry for caricature. Weigh Warner's real-life humility, devoted father, fiercely private. He never thrust his daughter into tabloids or Instagram feeds. His identity wasn't a brand, his family wasn't content fodder. Contrast that with reappearing eulogies and hashtags flooding every feed. Katt calls it hypocrisy. Look at all the love now. Where was it when he was live and refusing to play it safe?
Can you tell me the fate of the people who consciously take the bait and embrace the very traits placed upon them by their captors, who by design are inclined to keep them believing they're second rates? I'll wait.
Comparisons get thrown to Dave Chappelle, another black man who walked away from money and fame rather than sell out. Did Chappelle get to keep rising? No, he instead got ostracized, caricatured. The suggestion, this pattern isn't coincidence, it's systemic backlash for refusing the mold. Warner's down-low poetry and jazz collabs weren't just side projects, they were acts of resistance. Finally, the post-death avalanche of tributes. Suddenly Warner's art, his legacy, his voice, every last mic drop gets elevated. Katt laughs in the corner, pointing out that death didn't make him legendary. Our neglect while alive did. That hypocrisy stings harder than ocean salt, because it says the industry only celebrates black authenticity once you can't speak back. Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't die a heroic Disney dad death, diving into the ocean to save his daughter from Jaws. That was a lie, sweet, syrupy, and 100% made up. According to real witnesses, his daughter never touched the water, never waded in. She was on land, probably watching everything with wide eyes while the press cooked up another Lifetime movie. The real story? Malcolm and a close friend were caught in a deadly rip current at a hazardous, unguarded beach in Costa Rica. And not just, oops, we got wet caught, we're talking, sucked out to sea like it was written by Poseidon himself. No lifeguards, no warnings, just a death trap with palm trees, a tropical paradise turned final destination.
But freedom has its limits, so here we are, tear-streaked and salt-stained faces, Traces of trauma and pain lace our DNA like our black pride is cut and laced with self-hate.
What followed was a brutal, desperate rescue attempt. 45 minutes of non-stop CPR, defibrillators pumping like EDM beats, lifeguards sprinting from nowhere trying to reverse what nature had already decided. But it was too late. Malcolm was pronounced dead at the scene. Now here's where it gets twisted. Before the salt dried on the sand, early media reports were spinning a heroic fatherly fairy tale. Tragic, yes. True, not even close. The lie sold better. And isn't that the real sickness? Because the lie fits the mold better. Black man dying to save his child? That's digestible. It's noble. We'll shed a tear, share the story, and move on feeling good. But a black man dying because a beach was neglected, because there was no one there to help, because we didn't protect one of our own, that's messy. That's uncomfortable. That's true. It's almost like they wanted to fast forward past the real questions. Why was he at an unsafe beach? Why was there no emergency team posted? Why did he die when everything that could have saved him was missing in action? The second the news hit, Malcolm-Jamal Warner drowned on vacation. Most people dropped an RIP and kept scrolling. Because Katt doesn't just dabble in conspiracy, he marinates in it, slow cooks it, then serves it with a side of, "Wake up, people!" And this time, he thinks Warner was silenced. According to Katt, Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't play Hollywood's game. He didn't shuck, jive, or sell out his voice for clout. He didn't play the stereotypical roles. He didn't bend when pressured. And in an industry that loves obedience more than talent, that kind of quiet rebellion paints a target on your back. Not a literal target, unless you believe what Katt's hinting at, but the kind that makes you disposable when it counts. Let's be honest, Malcolm wasn't out here dancing on TikTok or making cringe Netflix cameos. He was building a legacy that had nothing to do with trend chasing. And that, in Katt's world, makes him a threat. Now, Katt's not pointing fingers at Poseidon. He's pointing straight at the machine. You know, the machine, the one that decides who gets to be famous, who gets silenced, and who gets turned into a tragic after-school special. And it gets deeper. Katt's been hinting for years that black entertainers who don't fall in line either vanish, burn out, or get painted crazy. Sound familiar? Ask Dave Chappelle. Ask Lauryn Hill. Ask anyone who dared to walk out of the Hollywood funhouse with their soul intact. Katt's theory isn't about aliens or 5G towers. It's about an industry that has no chill when it comes to black resistance. He says Warner had too much dignity, too much integrity, and in Hollywood, that's worse than scandal. That's rebellion. The result? A man dies in mysterious conditions. No lifeguards, no oversight, no witnesses who matter. But sure, let's just call it accidental. Katt ain't buying it. And once you hear the receipts, you might not either. Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't just die. According to Katt Williams and the growing echo chamber of truth seekers online, his death reads like a cautionary tale dressed up as coincidence. The real tragedy? It's not just the rip current. It's the current that pulls down every black man who dares to stand on principle in an industry built on performance. And we're not just talking about acting. Warner wasn't out here thirst trapping on Instagram, doing viral dances, or playing the funny sidekick to get roles. He was intentional, measured, and maddeningly dignified. You know all the things Hollywood pretends to love about black men, but actually hates when we're not performing trauma, jokes, or thug life. His career was a slow burn of purpose. Poetry, jazz, philosophical podcasts. Fatherhood handled off camera. This man was black excellence minus the hype, and that's dangerous. Because once a black man decides he doesn't need your spotlight to be brilliant, he becomes a mirror. And mirrors make people uncomfortable. So when Warner dies suddenly, the conspiracy-minded don't just grieve, they squint. Because how many times does this have to happen before we stop calling it random? He and Chappelle, same cloth, different cut, both walked away from an industry that demands your smile and sells your silence. Only difference? One survived, the other didn't. So let this be a damn reminder. Don't wait for the ocean to take them. Don't wait for silence to make their art echo louder. If someone is building with purpose, protect them now. Don't eulogize them with a hashtag and a 10-second reel once it's too late. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was a father, an artist, a rebel wrapped in jazz, and a man who refused to perform his blackness for cheap claps. You wanted a punchline? Here's one. Hollywood gives out awards, but men like Warner, they earn respect even if they have to die to get it.